large object come out from behind this rise of the head. And I was going, get out, run.
And you saw the footprints.
Yeah, you said you didn't know if it was real until you went back and you saw his footprints.
Well, he came up to where I was standing. I mean, I saw, and that's what happened. I got scared, really scared, when this, what do you call it, hatchway opened up. And I saw something move, and I thought, oh God, I know what I want to get out of here. Oh, you know, so I was scared out of my gourd.
People don't believe that you can get scared. I mean, they don't want to meet aliens, but then they don't realize if it happens, they terrifying.
He put his hand where our heart would be and swept it out.
Like
everything that you're seeing, everything that's happening, you don't be frightened, don't be scared. You're all right. And then we turned around, so I went away, and I was going, hey, don't leave me here. What are you doing? Take me with you. Well, I found out he did take me with him. But he couldn't let me know because he said, we found out something rather unfortunately about you. He said, you're somewhat of a blabbermouth.
Okay.
Things happen and you'll immediately want to go and tell somebody about it.
But about the footprints, she meant, did you see footprints?
Continue the story. Continue the story. That's where he does it. It's like step by step.
Well, yeah, there was footprints in the roadbed.
Yeah. Okay.
But when he was walking across the desert, can you imagine this in the creosote bush? No crunch, no crack, no. But when he got to the roadbed, crunch, crunch, crunch.
Does this sound like Enrique's story from Shasta? He said they looked like they were floating, and then when they came, he could hear crunch, crunch, crunch of the.
That's how I knew that the whole experience was real. It wasn't fake; it was real. As I saw the footprints, I said, "Okay, you didn't dream this up. You didn't think this up. This really happened to you." See?
And what they said to him was that they were keeping an eye on him, right?
So they took me on board without my even knowing it. They put me back where I'd been originally on the roadbed. But I tried to tell Doris Levesque, the gal Tesla, yeah. I tried to tell her, and I was sent out there to help her get her shop open to make money to take care of her child. But anyway, I became a glorified babysitter. Anyway, but and she said, I tried to tell her what happened. She said, oh, Robert, come on. Don't give me this baloney. Come on. I said, I'm telling you this happened to me, Doris. I'm telling you now. I'm telling you. Don't let me. I am telling the truth. See, but when Shirley later talked to her, she told Shirley the real truth. But they had to, do it in a certain way to keep from getting me, up high or getting high on the whole thing and blabbing it all over the place.
Was it against the law to meet Space Brothers in those days?
Oh, yeah. Are you kidding?
They come after you, probably.
Well, who came after you guys?
Well, what I'm saying is...
was the FBI and those guys upset?
Well, yeah, ham radio contact I was there with Lyman Streeter, his name was, the ham radio operator. They gave him a name, by the way. They gave him a space name.
They did?
Yeah. George and I were standing outside the ham shack and we could see UFOs moving around overhead, so forth.
The ham shack, the ham...
And we could hear. And now we want to tell you what your name is. I mean, we could hear this clear from the outside.
Of the ships?
We could hear the sound of their, talking over the ham radio.
Yeah.
They were rather loud. And so anyway, when we came back in, he was sitting at his chair. He was going, oh, God. Oh, my God. Oh, God. Oh, my God. And he was really kind of, shook. I said, Lyman, are you all right? Are you sick? What's the matter? He goes, no, I'm all right. He said, they gave me a name. And they have a name for me, a different name than my, I said, okay, well, wonderful. That's wonderful. Yeah.
Okay, so in those days, making a long story short, the idea of contact with people from space was normal. It was the 1950s that dealt with Van Tassel, Adamski, you, and you're really the only one left. Menger, Orfeo Angelucci, Bethune? What was that name? What was Bethune's first name? Was it Graham Bethune?
Oh, well, it's just,
There's a whole set of these contacting Truman Bethune. Truman. Yeah, I was trying to think because
my wife got after him because he said, I wrote a book. I have a book. And I said, well, who's it? Who wrote it? He said, I did. He says, well, big deal for you.
So already there was jealousy and everything in those days among the contactees. The contactees, because I know that Adamski did not love George Hunt Williamson, right? That George Hunt Williamson himself went his own way from Adamski.
That's right.
That's right.
Too. She thought he was conceited.
Who did?
Shirley did.
Thought that Williamson was conceited.
Adamski was kind of hard to take because he was the first person that, although George was Williamson, Al Bailey was there with his wife Betty.
Al Bailey, remember?
And they were showing exactly where to go with the car, going up off the main highway, up this dirt road that finally had to stop because they'd been liable to get stuck.
Mm-hmm.
And they could see this ship and so forth up
it's in the
rise. We've got a picture of that.
Yeah, I got a picture of that. The ship sitting over the thing.
Right, over that rise.
Yeah, rise, and the mountains there in Desert Center.
Is that the
This is the book that
giant rock commemorative?
No,
that you're looking at?
Yeah.
That's the commemorative?
Yeah, but I got that already.
Right.
This is a new book that came out, and it's called We Are Here, Visitors Without Passports.
Michel,
he's French. Zirger, and he lives in Tokyo. And this is the ship.
Right.
See the ship right there?
Yeah, I got that one, but it's just you can just barely make it out.
Yeah.
You got a great shot. Oh,
yeah, see, well, she'll tell you about this, because this book just came out. And the worst, and this is the picture, and there's Orthon. See him in the thing? They finally got a picture, and George Hunt Williamson took this picture.
Oh my God!
And then, you know who these are. This is.
Remember down the chapel building you saw that picture?
Yeah.
Do we have him?
This is Orthon. See, they finally.
Take it, your film.
Let me tell Susan about this. This book is amazing because this is a ship as it's coming over in Desert Center. Right there, I don't know if you can see a little person.
Oh, yeah.
That's Orthon. And George Hunt Williamson took this.
But his real name is Orion.
Okay, and this is a close-up of Orthon. So this is the first photograph of the encounter in Desert Center. Okay, so this book has come out. Everybody's reading it. And you have to go to Amazon. I gave her go to Amazon. It's called We Are Here, Visitors Without Passports. All right, and it talks about everybody that was present, including George Hunt Williamson, and therefore,
who had the photos? Who found those photos?
The photos of Orthon are George Hunt Williamson, because this French man, writes about George Hunt Williamson many times, many flesh and everything. He talks about he knew him. I think he knew him. Did he? Did he know him, or he communicated with? He bought all of his archives. He bought Williamson's archives. So this man is from France.
By the way, I was with George Hunt Williamson down in Peru. You know.
You were with him in Peru?
Yeah, we went to Machu Picchu.
Get this too, because the last you went to Cusco with him because his last book was Contact in the Andes.
Yeah, that's right.
And you were with him?
I was with him. That's right.
And what did you discover?
We sailed up I'm trying to remember the name of the damn river, Aldramada de Dios, and then there was this other river that came into it. Aldramada de Dios was the main river near where we were living in this villa, okay, in Huancayo, okay, and that's where we came home one time and found her body had turned a funny shade of green.
Whose body?
Betty.
His wife, right?
His wife, yeah. And all the servants were gone. We thought, what? Where's the servants? And she's got this peculiar, she's sick. Why aren't anybody here that's, see? Birds flying around inside the house. Death. That's a symbol of death.
And did she die soon after that?
So, yeah, not too far. In fact, we got her out of there and took her down to the hospital in Lima. But George, she kept worrying about George getting the right keys to this and right, da-da-da. The doctor said, listen, I'm going to tell you something. Just get the hell out of here. Because I'm telling you, I'll let you know what's going on. Don't worry. I'll keep you in touch. So forth. You know, you just let me know where you're going to be. I'll keep you in touch. But I want you to get the hell out of here. She's worrying too much about what the hell's wrong with you or what you need or what, you know. So anyway.
So did any unusual things happen in the Andes with George Hunt Williamson? Did you see craft?
Well, I'll tell you, we were told by a Dominican priest, and they're very careful about, you know, the people that are guides for you because they consider it sacred. El Gran Patiti is what we were looking for.
Yeah, Patiti. Well, that's where Ricardo goes to Patiti.
El Dorado,
all the time.
or El Dorado.
Okay.
Anyway, so this priest said, now, I want to tell you something. He said, you might find a low spot in the river further on up the river. He said, camp there overnight. He said, you might find an area that's interesting. That's all he said. You might find an area that's interesting. So when we got there and we had Machaginga, you know, guides and so forth. And one of them made a fire to roll and split, you know what I'm saying? And he killed one of these coatls, or what do you call it? Like an overgrown mouse. It looks like an overgrown mouse. No.
Cotati.
And he skinned it. I had to watch this anyway. And then they saved the skins, you know.
But you were looking for a place. He was looking for El Dorado. That must have been that he was looking for El Dorado.
Well, El Patiti is what we were looking for, and we were looking for rock riding, Mapoy.
Okay,
Mapoy.
right. You were looking for riding.
Yeah, Mapoy. See? So we didn't know it, but this is what this priest was trying to tell us. So this native guide, he sees change of coloration in the foliage back behind us. Oh, let's go up. I've got to check this out. About a half an hour later or so, he comes back and he goes, Mapoy, senores, Mapoy. I said, Kestis, Mapoy. Mapoy. And there was rock riding.
Okay, you're looking for petroglyphs because, was he looking for petroglyphs because Orthon gave him a glass plate, gave Adamski a glass plate with petroglyphs on December 13th? Because you know when Orthon met Adamski, he asked for a glass plate.
Yeah, right,
he
exactly,
did. Do you remember that?
He gave it back to him up in the
Palomar Gardens.
Yeah.
He gave him back with the petroglyphs on it on November 13th. Yeah. He gave it to, Orthon did. And later on, they found out what they were from Brazil, from the things of Brazil. But I have to ask you about UFOs. So when you were in South America, did you have any UFO sightings and did you meet any space brothers there?
Oh, yeah, sure. But they wouldn't tell you. You know, they had to be careful.
So you felt they were space brothers?
Oh, yeah. You know, they would smile in a peculiar way. You know, when you bring that subject up, they'd kind of smile. But wouldn't say too much, you know. So.
Okay, and did you have any sightings of UFOs?
Oh, yeah, when we were going up the river.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they told me later when we were camping overnight, oh, by the way, he said, they have a snake that stays up in the trees. Got to be careful not to get too close because you get, you know, boa constrictors. They're yellow color.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these are the adventures he had with George Hunt Williamson in the Andes. And so you have to read the book that George Hunt Williamson wrote about the Andes.
And guess who else was down there, by the way, later?
Who?
Wendell Stevens.
I know. Wendell Stevens knows all about
He found this. I had a dream that night in this campground of this it looked like an old ancient city. Had a gate that must have been wood. They must have been at least 12 to 15 feet high, okay? And there was this cobblestone road, or what do you call it, a walkway, going down to the river, and it had these round blocks that were scorched or burned just outside the walls, and some of the stones had fallen off the walls, and they were megalithic.
Yeah, you don't need to get this part because it's just...
See? And Wendell says to me, I'm talking to him over the phone, he said, well, Robert, he said, tell me, what were those round circles that were burned or scorched? I said, Wendell, don't you know what those were? He goes, what? Well, what were they? I said, landing sites, Wendell, landing sites. They came down and burned. He said they looked like round stones. They were just round. They weren't square, they were round.
So it's landing pad. Okay, yeah. I'm going to ask you one last group of questions having to do with Giant Rock, if you want to do that. Okay, the Giant Rock conventions.
Yeah.
What do you remember about them? How many people used to come?
Oh, 12 to 15,000 from all over the world.
Okay, do you have that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 12 to 15,000 from all over the world, and the conventions were led by George Van Tassel. You were there.
Oh, yeah.
But Van Tassel had the conventions, right?
But anyway, when I had that sighting down near Goat Head Road, the end of the runway, where basically the ship showed up down there.
The end of the runway.
I had these people gathered around me, and I was trying to tell them how we get communications. See, they must have been about 10 deep around me. See, so finally somebody mentioned that they saw this ship down at the end of the runway. See, I goes, oh well, let me see, let me get. See, so anyway, I started getting, I get this flashlight. I'm going, AA.
This is at night. All at night.
Yeah, right, at night. I was saying, who are you? In Morse code, who are you? Shirley said, Robert, what are you doing? I said, I'm trying to get them to identify themselves. You know how to do that. You can communicate with them. Ask them to do something. I said, oh, well, okay, all right. I said, hey, fellas, would you mind moving off a little ways? You know, just to the right or whatever. I no sooner got the words out of my mouth. I said, well, okay, thank you. And all these people going, wow, did you see that? Oh, my God, wow.
The Giant Rock conventions in the 1950s and 60s in Southern California were among the biggest UFO conventions ever. But who was present there and what that was around was the Space Brother movement. There were no talks of a great alien abduction stuff in that group of people.
Yeah.
That group of people and those beings came, even during the conventions, you could see the craft, right?
Oh, yeah. Remember when I was channeling outside that night?
Yeah.
And Bill Hamilton.
Yeah, and Bill Hamilton is passed, I think.
He says to his girlfriend, he says, honey, let's get the hell out of here, because I said, this isn't going to happen. People are going to just gather and get the hell out of here. They're all going to drive out. We better go. See, and all of a sudden, these things showed up overhead. You all saw them. They said where they were in azimuth so much, you know, which means from the ground up, how high up they are, so forth. And they're there where everybody can see them. And all these people are going, ooh, 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 look at, ooh, ooh.
Yeah.
And they saw these UFOs, see. I had already had the one thing happen. Now I got the UFO, see.
So this is the 1950s. So think about what you were doing in the 1950s.
It's written up by Gabriel Green, and I've got it.
Gabriel Green was one of the Giant Rock people in that book that you have that has the history of Giant Rock.
Experience.
I know.
Yeah, he wrote up that experience. I have it all. I have it.
Yeah, because at Long John Neville, Gabriel Green, all these people, August Roberts that took the pictures of Al Thor. These are all people. Do you know Augie Roberts?
Right.
Yes. The problem is that you would have to go back to study this movement and the real visitations of these human type people. You'd have to go back to know what the truth was about the beings. And let's finish with you again. What was the messages that the beings had in 1950s? I mean, they're the same for today. But what are the messages?
Well, basically, Again, it's just like we had that day when we were there.
Yeah.
You know, work together, cooperate. In other words, be at peace. In other words, work peacefully to solve things. Don't go hurting each other. Don't separate yourselves from each other. You're God's people. You're all God's children, every one of you.
Yeah.
Well, you can't deny that. Somebody says that, well, that's it.
So
they say you're God's children. What are you doing? You're doing what you're supposed to do, not what they tell you. You got to do this. Or you got to. No, you do the right things. You try to help people. You try to do things that are good, that are positive. See,
okay, Bob. That's it. That's the bottom line. That's it. There's nothing else. There is no more.
Because
and this
basically, in that book right there, they talk about what life is like where they are from.
The saucers
They also
speak.
talk about Orion. They said, be careful of Orion.
There are populations that are not
places
so
out
friendly.
there that want to take over things.
Okay, so
They had asked that we get these books out for them.
Okay,
too.
this is The Saucers Speak by George Hunt Williamson. Okay, and this is Flying Saucers Have Landed by Desmond Leslie, whom I met, in Italy with Colonel Corso, and Adamski. And I have this book, too. And this is Inside the Spaceships by Adamski. And these are rare books.
Boy,
and this,
are they rare.
they're very rare. And this is why I don't want anything to disappear, because if there's a library or something that we could come and read.
Yeah, they have some
you
more
said
by Williamson, too.
you have some more by Williamson?
Yeah, right.
Flying
Let's see what
Saucers,
else is.
Farewell by George Adamski. I've never heard of this book.
This is the gal that was a secretary in our group when we were living in
Alice
San Jose.
Bellamy, yeah. Flying Saucers, Farewell by George Adamski. You have more Williamson books.
Yeah, we'd have to get the key if you wanted.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
These are the rare books that you can't find anymore about those days.
And we've got all the Pleiades books.
To
We
play,
have all the books that are contact with the Pleiades.
and that is
The big ones and the smaller ones.
that's Wendell Stevens, because he did the Billy Meier case.
Mm-hmm.
And so did when you talked to Wendell Stevens, did he convince you that Billy Meier was real?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
because I did too for 4 hours.
Oh, wow, absolutely. Oh,
That
yeah.
those are Pleiades that came
hell
down.
Yeah. The only thing they didn't like what he did, he shot off that ray gun.
Yes, through the tree, and I
A
saw the
hole in
hole.
the
Since
tree.
I was there, I
See?
saw the hole in the
Now,
tree.
he damaged something that's precious.
No, because he damaged
Life.
ecology.
That's precious life.
Yes.
He shot something that's precious.
And
You
there
got
is that
balled
hole
out,
in the
too.
tree there, because I was at Schmidt Rudy and saw the hole. Actually, we filmed the hole in the
And
tree.
then they had a group called Silver something or other.
Silver
that they
Star
played.
Center. It's Semyazi. It's
What's
Semyazi.
what's that German fellow's name? Do you remember?
Michael Heseman.
No, not him. I mean, they belonged to the group that was with with Billy Meier.
Oh, the
The
German.
German fellow.
Oh, Guido Musrucker?
Yeah,
Guido
Moosbrugger.
Yes, Moosbrugger, that I was
He
telling
says,
about the book.
Who are all these people that claim that they're having they don't have anything? Says he's the only true contactee that's ever been known. Blah 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 blah. Blah. He really got upset when anybody.
Well, he wrote the book
when
and
Adamski
still they
came
fly.
along, say, Moosbrugger blew his top.
They don't get along. If you talk to the Adamski people, they think that Meier isn't real, that Val Thor didn't exist. So these groups do not get along. So the secret to research is just study each individual group and never listen to what they say about each other, because you have to go to the source. And since Robert was there, originally at Giant Rock, he's the source. He can tell you because he was there. It's called. We're not reading a book here. We're talking to the actual people that were there.
And he has a good memory.
And he has a photographic memory, and it's amazing. A lot of these people remember the past. They don't remember what happened yesterday.
Yeah.
But you remember the past. And in his case, for research, he's reliving it. He's not making it up because he gets emotional when he remembers it. So that's one of the signs of
We had
research.
things when we were in San Jose living there.
Mm-hmm.
We had a babysitter that was interested in what we were doing.